Just maybe if you can start with going over some of your history. Like I know your history, obviously, because I know you, but I think it would be great for the people that are with us, hear a little bit about your history, how you got started in kickboxing, moved into MMA, and all that type of thing.
Okay. I started martial arts when I was 4 years old. My family started a school in 1973. My father was a master of Taekwondo and karate. He actually trained under the great Jun Rees, the founding father of Taekwondo in America. In fact, Jun Rees, the guy who helped Bruce Lee perfect the side kick. And then the other side of my lineage for karate, we were with Tracy's Kempo Karate. That gentleman who was real famous from that organization was Joe Louis, who was the first kickboxing champ in the world. And in the heavyweight, the old school kickboxing, he also did a lot of training with Bruce Lee. And then a couple of the kickboxers who were the first world champions, Jeff Smith and Gordon Franks, are also part of Jun Rees' organization, which spawned my family's interest in the old school above the waist kickboxing. My dad used to promote fights in the late 70s on ESPN, and that's what inspired my brother and I to become great kickboxers. We knew Benny the Jet Urquidez, his children, Bill Superfoot Wallace, all the I know this is probably ancient for a lot of you guys, but this is how I kind of grew up with all these martial arts superstars and people. And, as when I turned 18, I became a professional kickboxer along the way. I've always taught martial arts for my family schools since I was 15 or 16. So teaching and competing went hand in hand, my whole life. When I was 18, I turned professional right after I graduated from high school. And sorry, bug on me, guys. Sorry, I'm poolside enjoying the vibe here in Florida. But I won, I think, the North American title when I was 23 under international kickboxing rules with low kicks. I moved into K1 in 94, won my first world kickboxing title in 1995 over the great Stan the Man Longinides. And then I won my first Muay Thai title in 1996. And in 98, and fought till I was 38, competed in K1. Love martial arts. I love combat sports. Had the pleasure of training my brother for another mother, Giuseppe De Natale, to a world Muay Thai title. A few other guys to Muay Thai titles, a few K1 fighters. And in 2004, I started making the switch to MMA. And 2005, I had the luxury and pleasure of Stephen Bonner 4 days after he fought Boris Griffin. He walked into our gym and started training with me. I trained one of his really good friends, Bulgarian Mike, in private lessons, and the rest is history. He put me together with the Carlson Gracie family, and I created a great close relationship. I was in the corner the last time with Master Carlson Gracie Sr. Back right next to me is one of their longtime friends I met down there in 2005, who's now our head jiu-jitsu coach at our academy, Professor Daniel Wanderley. And then I guess the rest is history. Anthony Pettis won his first world title in 2010, and just trained many different people coming and going. I still keep a lot of great friendships. The MMA game's crazy. Sometimes it works for your training, whether philosophically or whether you're sometimes people are moving, family situations, but I keep a really open door, open mind. I have guys that, who are hometown people that grew up in Milwaukee, and a lot of people who visit me, but it's been a really fun journey along the way.
Just to touch back on your history, because, you went from kickboxing world title, and then you went and won a Muay Thai world title the year after. And I think I've heard you talk about it before, but what made you move from kickboxing into Muay Thai?
Well, I always wanted to be in Muay Thai, but it was very hard. Even when I was so focused on Muay Thai, I used to have 4 Thai guys living with me. I had Kong Napa, who's a 4-time Raj Shamner Stadium champion, lived with my family and I for 2 years. Kampone, who trains Joe Nanawat in 1FC, he lived with us. I have another boxer, Songkla, who beat Buakau. He lived with us. And Hajai, who is a trainer at Tiger now. But that being said, I always wanted to be in Muay Thai, especially after the experience of my brother, because like at first it was such a negative experience. I was only 18 years old. A lot of people don't realize that I was 18, my comment, and I'm so cool with Champioki. That sounds great and all that. And even in Thailand, when I go to Thailand, I get treated very well because everyone knows that I really embraced it, the Thai culture and et cetera, but I always want to be in Muay Thai because my motto is, if you can't beat them, you join them and then you beat them. And that's what I wanted to do. And ironically, one of the techniques that I really mastered and perfected was the low kick, because I think the world of my brother, his tenacity, his skill. He's one of the toughest people. I'm not saying this because he's my brother. He is one of the toughest people I've ever dealt with, trained with, etc. And I grew up with another great guy that I trained with from Milwaukee named Gerald McCullen. He beat Mike Tyson's first round knockout record in boxing. He was one of the greatest power punchers ever before he got injured and had to stop fighting. I've trained at Ernesto Hu's personal gym. I've trained in Japan. I've trained in Thailand. I've trained with high level boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA people. By far, my brother's still one of the toughest people. So if that skill set could beat my brother, I knew, God, I got to go up there and embrace this, eat, sleep, drink it, to the point, like I said, did I go to Thailand? Yes, but I brought Thailand to me. For 2 years straight, I would train with my Thai buddies, especially Kong Napa, who was a genius. But the nice thing was, when you train in Thailand, the trainers go do whatever they want and do their own thing. Kong lived with me. So we cooked Thai food. We'd turn on the Thai videos and I'd ask him, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why is that guy doing this? I dissected every detail from him. So I knew the what, the where, the when, the why, the how of everything in Muay Thai. And then that was one of the most fruitful experiences of my life. And he also introduced me to the art of Cuban boxing because he also fought for the Thai national boxing team. So I'm a huge advocate of Cuban boxing, kind of diverting from what happened, but I'm giving you and then I had the pleasure in 2001, I returned to K1, and K1 paid for me to train at the famous Master Tadi's camp in Vegas. But he had two of the best trainers from Jockey Gym. Jockey Gym is a famous gym where Sanchai comes from. And the other famous boxer that comes from there is Samwhat Kamsing, who won the gold medal in 1996 in Olympic boxing. Now, not only did he win the gold medal, he beat the guy in the gold medal round that beat Floyd Mayweather in the Olympics. So they also had famous fighters like Sita Patai, Robert Kamsing, Kao Kwai in K1. There's another really famous guy, Lordzilla. So that's kind of and then my first few years in Thailand, I trained a lot at the Sit Yatong camp in the mid 90s, which is, famous for Samat Payakarun. I went there because of my friend Rob Common had gone there and I followed in his footsteps, big influence in my career. And then I befriended Danny Bill there at that time, and a great champion. So when I was there was a guy by the name of Chechai Paisatong, a genius, and he was called Samat too. And then there's another great fighter, Noon Pichit, and then another guy, Depitek Sityatong was champion, and so was Yodecha Sityatong. So a great time. Some of my influences in the Muay Thai world.
Yeah. Like ever since you started explaining your history, you're basically dropping some crazy names like Jun Rhee. Anybody who does, traditional martial arts like has heard or knows of Jun Rhee, Joe Louis. And then also some of the guys you're talking about from Jockey Gym as well. Like some of the most famous guys in the world, in the Muay Thai world, have come out of Jockey Gym. We have a personal friend, John Charles Skarbowski.
Oh yeah, I'm friends with John Charles too. I was coaching fighters on the Queen's birthday. I had a fighter there when he fought. My brother and I used to fight a lot in France. So that's kind of my relationship with the French fighters too. Yeah, John Charles is a genius. He obviously trained and lived at Jockey Gym. In fact, I think he has Crew Pipa there in France with him right now, who's one of the great trainers from Jockey Gym.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Pipa is now in France. Yeah, that's right.
I watch from afar, even though I don't participate in the Muay Thai world. All my guys that I train are well-versed in who the best legends of Muay Thai, the current legends. I educate the fighters that I train very, they have love and respect for the Thai fighters, and I teach them the ways of that, because to me, Muay Thai is just a special fighting art, especially when you understand the Muay Thai, the technique style. That's what Sityodtong and Jockey Jim was so awesome at. People don't understand. You don't get 200, 300 fights in Muay Thai if you don't have great defense, you're not slick, and you're not smart. And that's what these guys were. And that's what I really, really base my training on it. And I love my students, my fighters. They're an extension of my family. And I want to have them, have a life after fighting, and a wonderful life while they can have the longest fight career to feed themselves and their families.
Yeah, and something else, touching back on your history, when I was just studying a little bit before we got on, I didn't know you were a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, unless that Wikipedia is out of date. Maybe you're black belt now. I don't know.
No, I'm only a purple belt. I'm not in a rush, because I got Daniel Wanderley, who used to live with Carlson Jr. and Senior. As he's my brother from another mother. We both share the same birthday. I would rather be in a dojo like ours. I'd rather be a good purple belt than an honorary brown belt or black belt. I mean, we've got Gerald Mearshart on our team, who's tied for the most submissions in the middleweight division right now in the UFC. You got Anthony Pettis, who's a submission wizard in MMA. And, I was planning on doing the Chicago Open here this spring, and I was planning on doing the gi worlds. I'm hoping I can still do no gi. I'm actually making a little comeback with jiu-jitsu. I've won I think I won the Grappler's Quest at the UFC Fan Expo. I won the Gracie Open. I've done some tournaments too. I love jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu has made me a better striking coach, actually. A lot of people don't realize I did do high school wrestling too. So MMA was a lot more natural to me as a striking guy than most people would realize. So, that's why I understand the level changes. Like I said, I did wrestle in high school. Wasn't a great wrestler. Sergio Pettis actually wrestled at the same school that I went to. And then another one of our UFC fighters, Jordan Griffin, and one of our up-and-coming prospects too, named Christian Rodriguez. So wrestling is a huge sport in the state of Wisconsin.
So Duke, I was researching, like some of the fighters that you've had come through, Alan Belcher, Anthony Pettis, like a bunch of these guys still with you. Sorry, 1 second. I'm not sure what happened, Duke, here. I lost you guys. Can you guys still see me? Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my screen, but I'll figure this out in a second. But everybody in their life has had their 3 or 4, fights that were like either the training camp and the lead up, and there's a personal grudge, or some type of fight that they've had that really sticks out in their mind, either because the way the fight was, or there was history, or it was a second fight versus this person. What 2 or 3 fights really stand out in your mind, and why?
That were as a coach or as a fighter, or both?
I would say both. I would say both.
If you go on my Instagram, I've shared a knockout of a guy by the name of Stan the Man Longinides. A lot of respect for the guy. But at the time I fought him, I didn't have a lot of respect. At the press conference, he really talked down to me, very derogatory. And before the whole time, he was always a gentleman. I started in K1. He was a big name. At the time I fought him, he was the undisputed kickboxing champion of the world. When I say kickboxing, at that time, kickboxing was considered no knees, no clinching. It was 12x2s with low kicks and punching. So that was the version of kickboxing I fought in. And he had just beaten Branko Sikatic, not once, but twice. And Branko was the first K1 world champion. He had also broken the great Dennis Alexio's leg a few years prior to that with a low kick. So he was the biggest guy in the sport. And if you watch the fight, I KO'd him in 41 seconds. Not only did I KO him, he laid out like he was crucified. His arms were wide open. I slapped him. And, you know, I'm not one of these people that's overly aggressive before a fight. But if you want to make it that way, I'm kind of like the movie Scarface. Oh, you're going to give me a green card? I'll kill him. Oh, if he's a communist, I'll carve him up real nice. Don't drive me into the communist mode, because that's when you make it personal. Another fight like that was Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone. He trash talked so much before the fight. And I'll never forget at the weigh-in, Donald turns around and he goes to shake Anthony's hand. Anthony gives him a look of disdain, and I knew the fight was won there because Anthony wouldn't shake his hand. He wouldn't shake his hand before the fight, and you know, Donald landed one strike, and it was a shutout for Anthony. And another fight that was like that, Michael Chiesa was very abrasive before the Anthony Pettis fight, and we saw how that happened. Guys like myself, Anthony. You know, Anthony's been doing martial arts since he was 5. You know, we understand fighting's fighting. If you want to make it personal, great, because now you're really going to make it a real fight, if that makes sense. Like I'm all about, I like Thai style. I like, you know, the sportsmanship, you know, being a martial artist, you know, but one thing is I also grew up in an era like in martial arts when I was a kid. Wasn't McDojos. There were martial arts in the 70s was a poor kid sport. And, you know, I was usually a minority at the gym, and a lot of the kids tried to intimidate me in tournaments and hit me after the break. And then I also, in my high school years, when I wanted to become a fighter, my dad made sure I went to the Martin Luther King Center with my brother, which that's one of the toughest neighborhoods where I'm from, or I went to the South Side where the Pettises grew up. So I'm used to guys always trying to bully me, get in my face. And in fact, that brings the best out in me. And those are some of my favorite fights when guys make it personal, because you just made it easy for me to put my leg through your head or my fist through your face, etc. And, you know, that is the fun thing about fighting. Sometimes it's a very sporting event, like the way Anthony and Wonderboy went at it, you know, and the way Tyron and Wonderboy did it. And sometimes it is very personal, and the personal ones actually are quite fulfilling.
And just before we get to the next, like some of the people's questions that are here right now, what was it like coaching Ben Askren? And you know, from the outside looking in, you know, like I don't know him. I don't know a lot about him. I was super excited to see him in the UFC. And then, you know, tough fight, you know, against Masvidal, you know, when he got knocked out, it was a tough fight. But you know, I'm more interested in like what's Ben like, his training, his wrestling. Like obviously people know because he's he has a high wrestling pedigree, that's his specialty. But I'm just interested in hearing like a little bit more about him, because you know, what you see on the media is not always what you get, right? I definitely think there's a lot more to Ben Askren than you know, the kind of the character that he played.
Well, Ben Askren is so different than people know him. He's actually way better at grappling and striking than you perceive. You know, it's one of those things. Sometimes I can teach someone to strike and to do things, but if they don't have the want to beat people up, the striking is, you know, so I recognize this right away. So one of my things I try to do is teach Ben to get better defensively. So if you see when he joined our team that he became much better defensively and more proficient at not getting hit. And the other thing, Ben, wrestling has been a huge part of his life, to the point of, you know, a lot of people don't realize when Ben got into the college, he almost didn't make it freshman and sophomore year. He had to bite, claw, scratch to get everywhere he wanted to be. So it's kind of like his personal shield, like where he wants to represent wrestling so much. He wants to win with wrestling. He wants to show what wrestling's done for his life through his fighting. And, you know, sometimes he lives and dies by that sword. most of the time he's really good at not dying by that sword, and I'm really good friends with George Masvidal. Been a fan of his fighting for years. 9 out of 10 times, if that knee doesn't land, Ben ends up on top of him. It's a different fight. And I told Jorge right after it happened, gave him fist pump. I said, "Wow, incredible move, Jorge. Congratulations." But that's the wild, wonderful world of MMA. Why I love it. It is so chaotic and crazy. Anything goes, anything happens, and that's what makes it fun. But I wish Ben would have got that. If he would have came over in 2013 when he should have, or 14 when Bellator released him, it would be a different story. But at the end of the day, Ben Askren won the Bellator title, won the one title. It's still a very impressive resume, and the styles make fights. Another great friend of mine, Damian Maia, I think the world of. Damian Maia is a hard guy to beat in that Shark Tank. Ben could have did exactly what Tyron did, avoid the fight altogether, pot shot him. Ben tried to challenge him, and I respect Ben for that. That's who Ben is. He's going to challenge you because actually, if you sparred lightly with Ben, you'd be like, "Wow, his striking's way better." It is. It's just, but striking's a mindset. You got to want to strike people to make striking work. It takes there's a lot of really good strikers in training who aren't great strikers in training because you got to have the will and want to pull that trigger.
All right, guys. So questions here. I'm seeing one question. Question and comment. That was a very nice overhand right on Stan the Man. You did crucify him.
Thank you.
Was that fight at the Foxwoods Resort Casino?
Yes, it was. It was actually on Greek Independence Day, 1995. Stan his family immigrated from Greece to Australia, and my grandfather was from Greece. So Rufus is a Greek name. My dad's mom was Irish, and my dad's father is Greek. So, and then my mother's of Sicilian Italian descent. So, wild mix I have.
That's probably why you get along so well with Giuseppe.
Okay, I'll be ready. Yeah. Oh, yeah. His family's from Bari. Another set of testaduras.
Giuseppe's here, and I wanted to hear the history on this because, as you know, I'm good friends with Giuseppe. He's like the older brother I never wanted, and how did you meet Giuseppe? And because Giuseppe's he lives in Winnipeg, you're in Milwaukee, and you've been in his corner, pretty much ever since. So I'd like to hear the history on how you two met, and what was he like as a fighter to coach. He's here. He's sitting here right now watching. So that's another reason.
1 sec. I just got to interrupt. Professor Daniel's running messages to hey, say hi, Professor. That's Daniel, who I was talking about from the Carlson Gracie family. Give me 1 sec. Text Anthony, tell him I'll meet him there after this. We'll take an Uber there. I just finishing up this Zoom. Sorry, Anthony flipped the script on us. We're going earlier than normal, but I'm going to stay with you guys and I'll meet him at the beach running. But check it out. So Giuseppe and we started out as rivals. So years ago, the original team he was with, I think we date back to 1998. They used to bring all their fighters. We used to promote traditional Muay Thai events in Milwaukee. And for roughly 3 years, he fought against all my fighters. But, the way the fighters are in combat sports, especially in Muay Thai, there's a brotherhood. We would go to our sponsor restaurant in my family's neighborhood and friends, Balistreri's. And after the fights, we would all hang out together. And ironically, too, he came from a great karate background, and then he liked kickboxing. But at first, he didn't like Muay Thai. He hated clinching. And I just started to give him some friendly advice. And each event, we'd talk more, hang out more, always breaking my nuts. That guy is like the heavyweight champion of ball breaking, but it takes one to know one, right? Because I'm pretty good. And, some things transpired. His gym fell apart. I remember we were both, I was supposed to fight K1 2002. I got a huge cyst in my ankle, and I couldn't participate in the tournament. My brother replaced me, and Giuseppe was in the tournament too. And I remember the day before they flew me to go do the Best Damn Sports Show in LA. And I get back really early on the flight, and we're both downstairs in breakfast. And I walk up to Giuseppe, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he just looked like he wasn't himself. And I go, "Hey, where's your guys? They're not here." And I know the guy very well. Known him. When you fight, train, and do things, you know people differently. Than you do other people. It's just a different relationship. And, things didn't go well because he didn't have a support team. And I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, want some help? Maybe I could help coach you, train you, and he had his first fight event in July. I did some seminars there, and the rest is history. And, another turning point, why we're really good friends. Sorry, I'm going to fight back tears here. Seriously, I'm going to try and not get too emotional about this because it's really weird, this quarantine thing. I've been home the most with my wife and daughter that I have in a long time. And, on the way here yesterday, I was in my Dropbox cleaning out pictures of garbage. Hey, Nick, how much longer you think this is going to be? Because I just need to tell Pettis when I'm on train.
Yeah, we can wrap it up right after this, like another 5 minutes or so.
We'll do 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So in 2000, I found my sister dead when I was 15 years old. Pretty traumatic experience. She was a baby. And in 2003, I go up for this fight. I go to his family, and Giuseppe's mother, who is the super heavyweight champion of ball breaking, typical Italian mama, she hands me Joe's daughter to hold, and I have this. I hadn't touched a baby since I was 15 years old. Deathly scared of children, deathly, and this was the moment of truth. And I hit the bullet. I held this daughter, and it was a big breakthrough moment in my life. Because that's why, if anyone who does know me, I have a 7-year-old daughter. That's why I have a child at such a late age, because I kind of experienced the traumatic experience. Honestly, the best thing about the whole experience is that's what made me a great fighter. That's my biggest advice. Have you ever been through anything bad that's hurt you, upset you? You got to take that pain and turn it into gain. That's why I have a special connection with the Pettis brothers. Their father was murdered, Anthony, on their block, and Anthony had to ID his father down the street from their home when he was 16 years old. So another one of my fighters, Rafian Stotts, his mother died of pneumonia, and he turned that pain into gain. In junior year in Texas, he won 1 state title in wrestling. Junior year in Texas, in his second year of wrestling, won a state title. He went on to be a 3-time All-American in wrestling, 2-time national champion. So that's why I have such a special bond. Not only the fighting thing, what his family's done for me. It's funny, when I go to Winnipeg, I sometimes go to Giuseppe's family's home before I go to his home. I'm one of the children now, and it's pretty special. They treat my wife like it's their daughter-in-law. It's quite an amazing experience, and it was all cultivated through this martial arts lifestyle.
One last question, Duke,
sure.
Before you wrap it up, is the question here from the group was, what do you think about people who go from fighting kickboxing or Muay Thai, or kickboxing and Muay Thai back and forth? And what are your thoughts on fighters that do MMA fights and then over to Muay Thai fights back and forth? And it's Mark Holst asking this question, because we've seen, I'm sure in history, like we've seen mixed results, right? Like it's hard to be great, at one when you're doing both. But I know I'm really interested to hear your answer in this. I know Mark's really interested to hear your answer about this as well.
The only reason why I switched styles myself was because I had to eat. I had to live. If I could have, I left K1 I was in K1 from 94 to 96. and I chose to promote our own traditional Muay Thai fights. Like, I love Muay Thai way more than kickboxing. I think Muay Thai is much safer. If I get in trouble, I can clinch, I can dump, I can grab your leg, I can sweep you. There's so many more elements to protect yourself. Like, especially me in K1, I was a small heavyweight. A lot of times in Muay Thai, I'd move down to 209 in the World Muay Thai Council and fight at a safer weight class. But the only reason why I switched was I need to eat and make money, and to me, if you want to be the best at something, you have to choose, do you want to make money or do you want to do what you love? Now, kind of MMA became that for me. I mean, now I love MMA. It's so awesome in so many different ways because it spawns my creativity. Like, when I was able to start using the cage as like a way to strike off of, it's like and one basketball. Actually, where I got the idea for cage striking was the movie Lords of Dogtown. I was up late one night, possibly partaking, and I came up with the creative idea. Well, the idea of skating off the wall. Why can't we just strike off the wall? And then also we were sweeping off the wall, doing a lot of things off the cage. So I love the space of MMA and the creativity. There's, it's striking off the floor, striking different ways. But getting back to like switching from kickboxing to Muay Thai, I'm sure Giorgio Petrosian, if they could pay him the same paycheck he got in kickboxing and Muay Thai, he would do Muay Thai. Vice versa with Borkow. Vice versa with any specialist. Unfortunately, we've become beholden to financial gain as opposed to sport gain. I love Muay Thai still. It's a big part of my life, but it's very hard to feed my family and give them what I want to give them for life. It's a tough thing, and I don't want to discourage people who love the sport, but I think the most money I ever made for a Muay Thai fight was 10,000 US, and the kickboxing fight, well, I could get triple the fee of that in the K1 or a European organization, if that makes sense. $10,000 seems a lot, but after you pay your taxes, give your people money, etc. That's the other thing. I used to have to fight 6-7 times a year to make a decent amount of money, which the problem when you fight that many times, you beat your body up. And if I could do it Muay Thai and do that, it would be great because it'll save where I could clinch. But when you kickbox, you go sword to sword the whole fight and you get battered.
Yeah, wow, that's that's a great answer, because you're just pretty much keeping it real for us, in that sure, if you want to be great at something, you can go and be great, but you also got to keep in mind where unfortunately
my analogy is the Dave Matthews Band. Dave Matthews Band is an incredible band, but all of his players in his band are incredible jazz musicians. If they went and played jazz, they'd be playing 20, 50 seat rooms as jazz musicians, but they sell out 18, 20,000 seat amphitheaters all summer because they play a product that everyone wants to see. So that's how I look at my participation in MMA. It's hard. You only have one life, and I did get a lot of accolades in Muay Thai. Well, I had all my accolades in Muay Thai. You know where I lived? At my gym with my wife. My wife and I lived inside our gym for 2 years. So we've been to, we lived really like Thais, honestly. And, I hate it when people go, hey, remember the good old days of the gym downtown Milwaukee? Those weren't good old days for me, man. I fought the whole 1999 with my right hand broken. If you watch all my fights from that year, I couldn't throw my right hand. I had to use. That's how I got really good at all my other weapons. But you got to eat, right?
Thanks, Duke, for sharing. Some amazing personal stories with us. From your history to some of the different thoughts on fighting, and some of the different insights about the fight game and some of your fighters. And good luck this weekend at the UFC. In Florida. It's pretty crazy. There's a UFC going on. Everywhere else is on lockdown.
No, it's wonderful. I applaud Dana White. They've done everything health-wise. Everything is great here. You know, I mean, I just want some more normalcy for people. You know, a guy like Anthony Pettis, he stepped up to the challenge because he wouldn't be where he's at in life without, you know, the sports rewarded him well. He sees this as a chance to pay back the wonderful fans that have gotten him to where he's got in life, you know, and he's pretty motivated for this thing. I will say the uniqueness of the situation has caused us to train completely different. And in a short training camp, we've got better results than we did in the last many long training camps. I think because of the lack of distractions, one, the appreciation of the opportunity, and we also were forced to go old school and not have all these scientific things where you got the strength and conditioning coach got this session, that session. We've been doing it old school, 2.5 hour sessions a day. Anthony's friends with Floyd Mayweather on a side note, and he goes and watches Floyd train. Floyd trains 3 hours straight daily, and he dots every I, crosses every T, and covers every detail of his training, never getting exhausted. Each day we just take it one step farther and get better with a higher output. And the scientific and strong technical approach to the camp has been phenomenal, and I'm excited about this fight. And we found the future of our training. We're sick of leaving the fights in the gym. And my time, you know, my brother was a WBC boxing champion, managed by Ray Leonard. So I learned a lot from all his great coaches as well. I'm 2-0 as a pro boxer. I was too white, and I didn't want to be Peter McNeely, so I quit. That being said, I learned a lot from these great coaches, and we brought those elements to the camp this time. And I think Anthony's going to put on a great show Saturday night.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you, Duke, and good luck to Anthony. And thanks so much for taking the time for us. We're so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody in Canada. Love you guys.
All right. Thanks, Duke.